Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Sum It Up. I am really excited. We have Dr. Mitch on with us today. This is a podcast where we talked about health. We get through the noise and actually talk about what really works. So, Mitch, I'm going to toot your horn for you a little bit here, bud, because Mitch was our valedictorian in our class, and it was a big class. We had over 210 kids that we started with, and Mitch kept those perfect grades the whole way through. Super smart. It's not easy to do. There's a lot of work, and school was not easy, that's for sure. But we're excited to have you on, Mitch, all the way from Texas. I was just joking last night with my wife. I wish I was back in Texas. It's cold and windy here. So to make myself feel better, there's a place in town that has Bluebell ice cream. So I had to go get me some. Yeah.
Yes.
Even in Idaho, brother. Even in Idaho. So, but Mitch, where are you at in Texas? Kind of tell our viewers a little bit about where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah. First off, yeah, man, thanks for having me. You really set the bar high here. I mean, I hope I can live up to everybody's expectations with that intro. Also really excited to hear that you have Bluebell in Idaho. And that's what I grew up on. I'm born and raised in Texas. Actually, born and raised in College Station, about 30 miles, a little more than 30 miles from Brenham, where Bluebell was founded. And so, like, we grew up going to the creamery for field trips in elementary schools. Love Bluebell. But yeah,
Dang.
I could talk about that all day long. Yeah, so I am in McKinney, Texas. So we're about 30 minutes from Dallas, north. And I am the owner and chiropractor at the Movement Lab. And so I am actually really cool setup. I'm actually in a gym. One of my good buddies of mine owns a private personal training studio he's expanded and grown over the years, and I'm blessed to be a part of it. So my office is actually have my own private room attached to the gym. And so it's literally, we're in a room and then we walk out and there's the gym floor. So pretty awesome setup. I've officially been here only about 6 weeks. So made the leap to starting my own business about 6 weeks ago, full time. So we're living the dream, man.
Hey, McKinney's a beautiful area too. That whole area is growing like crazy, and you didn't even mention in there that you're one of the biggest Texas A&M fans I think to ever live, right? You didn't even say gig 'em to begin with, so I'm kind of shocked by that.
I should have.
Well, Mitch, what's I probably kind of want to ask you what's kind of your original story. So, how did you get into movement and strength focused chiropractic? Because chiropractic is different, and even with all the people we went to school with, I don't know anybody who's practicing exactly the same. I think they're all doing at least a little bit different. But how did you get into your movement and strength focused chiropractic?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just movement has always been a part of my life. I think I was that weird kid obsessed with the human body and anatomy. Like, I'm pretty sure for my 13th birthday, I remember asking for like anatomy models for my birthday. Like, was always about the human body, was always interested, loved it, just health and science and all that stuff. And then also, I think 2 years later for my birthday, like when I was 14 or 15, I asked for Sean T's Insanity, like the tapes, like the workout tapes. And I would like do it in my garage.
Yep.
Like, always loved health and fitness, man. It's always been a passion of mine. And so always knew I wanted to go in some sort of like sports medicine realm. And so, and then as I just kind of went through my journey between undergrad chiropractic school, just continued fitness for me. Sports growing up, baseball and bowling were my two big things. Worked out, did all the things between long distance cycling, weightlifting, and then now probably my biggest thing is CrossFit. I've been doing CrossFit 8 years. It's a big background of mine. Coached CrossFit, and so literally for me, it was my experience was always movement and health, coaching, and sports. And so the fact that I was able to pretty much find a way to blend it all together and kind of create my own is kind of what has formed the Movement Lab and kind of my practice style and what that looks like. But yeah, it's always been just loving movement, loving health, and just allowing people, whether it's to just live happier, healthier lives or perform to their optimal, most maximum capacity. So everything in between.
No, you mentioned movement quite a bit, right? Like movement's the big one. I love that's called the Movement Lab too, because there's a saying that I say, I know you say it. I know there's a lot of people that say it, which is motion is lotion. My wife gives me a hard time about that all the time. But what does that really mean when we say motion's lotion? What does that mean? And how do you see it play out in your patients that you're seeing on a daily basis?
Yeah. And I've got a lot of cheesy sayings, motion is lotion, movement is medicine. Well, there's all the things, right? And it all just comes down to the basic idea of like our bodies are designed to move. That's what they do. That's how they thrive, not only as a whole body, right? But even our cells have like, they respond to mechanical stress. And so movement is really what drives a lot of systems in our body and the functions in our body. And so, again, motion is lotion. Movement just keeps us and our bodies in really healthy shape. Again, lotion keeps things, nice and smooth, nice and moist, and just keep doing their thing, no issues. And so I think really what it comes down to, there's so many issues or health problems or sicknesses or illnesses or anything like that. I mean, even pain in general. I mean, all those things have positive responses to movement and motion. And so again, it's one of the where if we can continue to, we talk about, optimizing our full health, movement is a huge component in that. And without it, we can't have all these great processes in our body our best and function at our best without movement. That's what we're designed and built to do, and what our body needs.
So, and you mentioned, pain especially is one, because when people think chiropractors, what do they really think? Hey, my back, my neck, you know, and in working with athletes, because I know you work with athletes as well. I see people that they might sprain their ankle, or not full sprain, but maybe twist their ankle or get stepped on, or maybe the chiropractic patient that comes in and says, "I woke up and my back hurts, but hey, I start walking, I feel better." We were taught growing up, if it hurts, you got to rest it, right? And so here you are teaching everybody something totally opposite. And how do you have that conversation with the patient of why, even though you're in pain, hey, yeah, you hurt your ankle on the basketball court, you still need to be on it, you still need to be moving it. How do you have that conversation when we've been taught for so many years that rest is what you need to do?
Yeah, and I think it really just comes down to education with those patients, right? Actually teaching. I think that's one thing that's really cool about our profession, and the way that we interact with patients is we have an awesome and incredible opportunity to educate and teach. And I think it's a huge component of what we do. And I know you're doing the same thing with all of your clients as well. And so really it's just educating on, hey, you're right. We used to think rest was the best thing. We used to think that was optimal. The whole RICE protocol: rest, ice, compression, elevation. And now it's kind of debunked. Everyone's like, hey, that's actually not the best thing to do, especially if we're talking about recovery and trying to get back to doing what we want to do and actually have function. And so really it's just educating them on, hey, movement is going to help a lot of different things. We think about, swelling, right? After an injury, after an ankle sprain. Ankle sprain is a great example for this. Is, we've sprained an ankle, we have a lot of swelling and things like that. Usually we're like, okay, ice and compression to reduce the swelling and reduce the inflammation, right? Take ibuprofen, Advil, whatever you need to reduce the inflammation. It's like, hold on a minute. We got to remember, inflammation is actually our body's repair process. And so by limiting all of this inflammation, we're actually limiting and slowing down the repair process. And so now recovery is going to take even longer. And so that's the first component. But then also too, motion is wonderful. Movement is great, because now by getting movement, whether it's just like contracting our calf or even like e-stim on our calf or just ankle circles, just trying to get movement, and the actual movement serves as a mechanical pump and can actually reduce the inflammation mechanically that way, while also providing good blood flow. Versus ice would also cut off the healthy blood flow that's coming in, right? So movement's going to help, essentially, I say, flush out the bad and bring in the good. And then also at the same time, the other thing that we can consider is when it comes to pain, most of the time, pain and movement actually have an inverse relationship. We can nerd out all day and talk about the pain gate theory, right? And so, and that's why
Yeah.
when you hit something or bump something and you rub it, it feels better, because between sensation of movement and pressure and all these things on our skin and our muscles, they take the same pathway to the brain as pain. And so there's only room for one to get through the gate at the same time. And so if we can use movement, our body senses that movement before that it senses the pain to a certain extent. If the movement's painful and there's damage, that'll override it. But we got to find a good amount of movement that's not causing too much pain. And then also, the faster we get to movement and the faster we get, the faster things are going to heal and bounce back and become stronger. And we're just going to heal faster and get back to doing what we love even quicker and healthier and hopefully stronger than before, as long as the whole process takes its way. But yeah, it's really about education, and that conversation you and I literally just had is the exact conversation I would have with a patient. Like, there's no different, and it's just teaching them. I may get into the sciencey a little bit more with you versus a client or whatever their background looks like, but
Right.
really what it comes down to is like just letting them know, like, hey, what we once thought is not the real deal, and this is actually what we see, and not only research, but the day to day we see with our own clients.
So I love that, you brought up hey, a hurt ankle. This is the best way to do it. I coached football the last two seasons, and anytime they'd come, hey, I hurt my ankle, or someone rolled up on me, I say, walk. You just got to keep walking. And they're looking at me like, what? I'm hurt. I'm like, yeah, walk. You're gonna feel better. And I had some parents that are like, why are you making them walk when they're hurt? Trust me, that blood flow is what's going to get them better faster than just sitting with that foot in the air. Let's kind of take it back to a little bit of chiropractic, just in the fact that a patient comes in with low back pain for you, and "Hey, Mitch, I come in, I notice every day I get up, my back hurts, so I'm coming in to see you." I think what the majority of chiropractors are going to do is, hey, let's have you lay down. Do you have one foot shorter or one leg shorter than the other leg? Wada beam. I got you adjustment in 3 minutes. Come back twice a week. I think that's kind of what at least most people, I would say, think is a norm for chiropractors. I think there's a little bit of shift going on there, but how would you respond to a patient coming in and saying, I have low back pain, I've had it for a while, nothing seems to help, I get adjusted all the time? What's kind of your approach when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think really what it comes down to, I feel like my silly answers every time for a lot of patient stuff is movement and education. It's one, helping the patient understand like, hey, adjustments are great depending on when they're used, and there's a time to use them, there's a time not to use them, but also I don't think they are the end all be all, because again, we're going to get some good feeling after it. We're going to get some open up range of motion, some reduction in pain. However, that's not addressing what our root cause is here. What is causing this back pain, or what causes back pain before? Because it's not, people are like, oh, my back hurt because I woke up and that's just what happened. And now I woke up with pain. Well, it's like, well, sleeping isn't what caused your pain, right? There's something that led up to it before. The straw that broke the camel's back is like a cheesy saying, but as a chiropractor, it makes the most sense. So it's really about trying to
Totally.
figure out, okay, what's the root cause of this discomfort, right? What causes pain? Was it an activity you were doing? Is it just something that's kind of slowly bought up over time? Do you work a desk job? Really just trying to figure out more about them, what their daily movement looks like, essentially. Do they have too much movement? As in, they just deadlifted and PR'd yesterday and then woke up with back pain this morning? Was it they just flew to New York for a meeting and then flew back in the same day? Is it, what before this could have caused it, right? And then really trying to figure out, okay, is it a lack of movement issue or is it a movement issue? And if it is, okay, well, where do we have some weird movements coming from, right? And so my step is okay, let's figure out first off what motions you're sensitive to, because that gives us a big tell of kind of what's going on as far as like the pathology, right? Are you flexion sensitive? Do you have pain
Mhm.
with bending over? Are you extension sensitive? Do you have pain with extending and leaning back or even rotating? Do you have pain with both? Do you have pain with sitting? Do you have pain with standing? Right? That can tell us a lot more about one, what motions they're sensitive to. So that can guide our process of, hey, here's the motions to avoid now. Or it also just tells us, hey, it most likely extension or rotation are sensitive, but flexion feels good. And you probably have more of like a facet issue and more of like a joint problem versus like a disc, right? And so that kind of tells us where we can guide our treatment. And then really my biggest thing is from there, just figuring out, okay, do we have any other movement compensation issues? Did this low back pain start because you work out, you go to five? You work out at F45, 3, 4, maybe 5 days a week if you're lucky. You do really well, but your back tends to be a little after a leg day, right? Okay, well, let's figure out, why is our back angry after a leg day? Do we not know how to hinge appropriately? Are we loading our spine too much when we deadlift and not our hips? Or when we squat, do we have a really massive range of motion difference between our left hip and our right hip? And it's causing us to shift or rotate or something like that. That's putting too much pressure on one side of the spine over time. And it just accumulates and accumulates, and eventually the straw breaks the camel's back. And so really it's trying to figure out, okay, what was the root cause? What really caused this? I understand your pains in your low back, but that's not exactly where the problem is always coming from. So let's figure out where it's coming from. Let's address that. And at the same time, let's do the things that kind of calm the low back pain down and find ways that you can continue to move, whether it's at home, at the office, or in the gym, that allow you to move in a way that isn't painful or is less painful, right? You're flexion sensitive. It hurts to bend over, it hurts to hinge. Okay, cool. We're not going to bend over and hinge right now. We can do all these other movements. We can still do some movements in the gym, like let's walk, let's, stair step, or anything that keeps more of an upright torso that isn't bending forward. You're free to do. Right. And so really my whole thing is just really about trying to figure out what people's root issue is, how we can keep them moving, and then how we can get them returning to the movement that they're sensitive to or can't do right now.
So you're really focused on one, taking a really good history to begin with, because you're trying to figure out where it all kind of started. And that can take some time when you're to spend with the patient to really understand when did this all start, and what was the mode of action that maybe flared it up or made it worse to begin with. Bold question for you, Mitch. You're smart, so I feel like you can handle it. But what's the chiropractic profession getting wrong when it comes to seeing patients with low back pain? And why is the stigma that we need to see them 2-3 times a week for however many, or 72 visits a year? Or what are we getting wrong about all that, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think kind of what I hit on is really just addressing the root cause, right? There's so many things like, well, the why. Like we always talk about, we ask. I mean, you probably do this when you try to find your patient's goals or why they're coming in. Why? Why are you here? Why does that matter to you? Why is that important? Why is that a priority in your life? Like asking why so many times is not only good for just getting to know somebody, but it's also good for getting to know their body. Like, why? Why do you have this pain? Where's it coming from? Why do you keep getting pain, even though you've been to a chiropractor, you've been to PT, you've had injections, you've done all these things, right? And I think that's a lot of times where a lot of chiropractors in the profession get so caught up in just treating the pain and really focusing on the pain and not necessarily the function of it all, right? Again, it's one of those things where we can hammer your low back all day long and we can get you adjusted as many times a week because, again, the adjustments are relieving. We're restoring, funny enough, what does an adjustment do? It restores range of motion in a joint. It restores what? Motion. Oh my goodness. There's a common theme here, right? And so, again, adjustments feel good because they're restoring motion in the body, in the joints and in the body. So it feels good. We get a little pain relief, and then we get in the car and we drive home, and up there it goes. It's coming back, right? And so it's one of those things where we've got to address the root cause of why that pain was there. And again, I adjust, not every patient, but where I feel like my patients need to be adjusted, I'm going to adjust. Someone comes in with a hot low back and a really big disc issue. Motion's not what we need right now. All right. And so I'm not going to adjust right now. Eventually later, if we need to, sure. Or I may adjust your mid back instead of your low back. It just depends on what your body needs and where that motion needs to come from. Yeah. So I think a lot of them just geared towards just pain relief. And if you're not addressing the root cause, you're just going to keep running around in circles and just going through this cycle. And so again, there are chiropractors out there, man, that they see people 3 times a week and they get relief because what are they doing? They're helping them move 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, and great point, because after you see a patient, a lot of the time, at least for me, patients will say, how often do I need to come back? And my answer to that is, I don't know. When you need it. I don't know your body. I don't know, you're the one that's going to decide that overall. But what I want you to do, if I'm going to try to send you home with some stuff to do at home so you
bingo.
don't have to come. And my joke always is, the less you have to see this ugly mug, the better you're going to feel. I promise, right? So maybe what are some things, if the general public's coming in with a hot low back or just that gripping back, maybe what's some stuff that you tell them, or maybe some exercise you'd like for them to do at home that's going to help them not have to come back as often?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of how my model is, right? Is my goal. I tell them like, hey, I love hanging out with you, but I don't want to see you all the time. I mean, we can talk all day long, we can have a good time, but that's not what I'm here for. And I always tell people if I could change my title from chiropractor, I would change it to facilitator because that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to facilitate their healing. People are like, "Oh man, you fixed me." I'm like, "Hey, I did not fix you. I helped you fix yourself." All right. I was just a guide
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
facilitator to get you there. Because that's what we need sometimes. We need some guidance, we need some facilitating, we need some coaching, whatever it is. And that's my biggest thing. Yeah, I do hands-on stuff. I love the hands-on stuff. I'm a chiropractor. I enjoy it and it gets people feeling better, but that's only a part of the puzzle. And so really it's trying to find ways to put movement and motion into their day that gives them relief. And so I don't see anybody more frequently than once a week, unless it's extremely, extremely severe and they want to see me more than once a week. But most of my clients, I'll see them once a week. And then ideally we start to spread it out depending on what they need. Because again, each time we're doing some pain relief stuff, but then we're going over exercises. And every week they have their exercise went over and that's their homework for the week. And then we change it up the following week. And so a lot of times the early, more, painful low back, the early stages of it all, it's really just trying to find ways to, one, get motion in their body in general. And so again, whether it's loosening up the hips so that we can move around our hips more to take some pressure and some movement off the low back, whether that's mobilizing our mid back a little bit more, or just general movement, just moving, going on walks, or hey, I know you like to do F45. This may not be in the cards right now, but here are some ways that you could still work out either in the class, let your coach know, or hey, if you have a membership at a Globo gym, this may be a little bit easier for you as well. And here are the movements that I would do because I want you to keep moving, right? And so it's either finding ways to do that, or if they're not really that more athlete, 5 days a week at the gym kind of person, say they're a desk worker, right? They have an office job, they're an accountant, it's busy season. I get it. So how can we squeeze in movement throughout the day? I call them little movement snacks, right? Every 20, 30 minutes, let's just stand up at our desk, right? Or if you have a stand sit desk, let's actually use the stand setting. I hear that a lot. I got this stand to sit desk, but I don't stand doc. I'm like, yeah, we should do that. We should stand.
Yeah.
And so just finding little ways to do that, or hey, do you work with other people? Every 30 minutes, let's get up, let's go bother a coworker. You know, just break up this sitting, right? And I think I get on this really big soapbox when we talk about sitting and posture. Oh, dude, the word posture gets me. I can talk all day about posture because I get fired up about it. And because people put so much stress on posture, man, and it's overrated. I'll be honest, posture is overrated. Where we run into trouble is just spending too much time in one position, right? I don't care whether you sit like a shrimp or you sit up all prim and proper, shoulders back, chin back. Either of those positions after 5 hours suck. Like, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
And so really where we run into trouble is spending too much time in one position. So the cheesy saying is your best posture is your next posture. So just move, change how you sit, change how you stand, move around because that's what your body needs and that's where we're going to feel better. And so that's why a lot of times we feel worse in the mornings when we wake up because our body has been still for 8 hours. So anything I can do to plug movement into people's lives, that's what it's all about.
And it sounds like a lot of time you use strength as medicine as well. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah,
I mean, you're
absolutely.
working in a gym.
Yeah. I mean, we're not like, hey, your back hurts. Let's load up 400 pounds on the bar and go at it. But no, man, I think load is so underrated. Right. And so the example I use for a lot of people is when you're back, when you have an injury in general, or you have pain in general, a lot of times it's because something isn't moving well. Or either we have restricted mobility somewhere, something isn't very stable. We don't have good stability somewhere, or we're just weak somewhere, right? And so I don't know about you, but weakness, stability issues, and mobility issues. Rest and relaxing doesn't fix any of those three things, right? What does fix those three things? Movement, load, exercise, and things like that. And so for me, that's how we address those things. That's how we address those holes and those root causes of issues is through movement and load. And honestly, the stronger something is, the better it's going to function, the better it's going to feel. I don't know about you, but dude, after a workout, I feel like Superman, dude. I feel invincible. And why not feel like that every day? Everybody's so scared
And
of being frail and fragile. Well, then let's not be frail and fragile. Let's be robust. Let's be resilient. And how do we do that? By getting stronger and moving better.
what was one of the things we were taught about bone health in school of how do you keep strong bones? It was load, right? There's a time where I heard one of our professors mention a tight muscle is a weaker muscle trying to protect itself. So, I hear all the time, hey, my back's tight. I start stretching it out and I just have to stretch it over and over and over. And it's like, well, maybe the stretching is actually causing more harm. Why not strengthen that and see what happens? And I think that's a weird concept, kind of like, all of a sudden you're supposed to rest an ankle. Now I'm telling you to move it. Now I'm trying to tell you, you came in this morning for low back pain. I adjusted you, worked on it. And now I'm telling you, I want you to go to the gym today and I want you to go lift just like you were yesterday or the day before. And you see those eyes kind of pop open like, you got to be joking me. Like, you're going to kill me.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, no, this is going to be fun because you're going to get better faster. So do you think that's maybe some of where the fitness world gets it wrong? Because on social media, I see fitness people all the time talking about be careful how much you're lifting or how you lift because you're going to destroy your discs in your back. And do you feel like maybe they get it wrong as well?
Yeah, man. I feel like, especially nowadays, whether it's fitness or healthcare providers or whatever it is, man, social media is making it hard out here for guys like us. That's for sure. Just because you see so many things on the internet, man, it's clickbait or it's the fear mongering or, all these things. And hey, to each their own, man, I'm not about that. I'm not worried about the followers. I'm worried about helping people. So for me, I think where the fitness industry can get it wrong is, fitness industry, healthcare providers, whatever it is, I feel like there's two things I'd probably say. Number one is going to be that there's only one right way to do something, whether there's only one right way to fix low back pain, there's only one right way to fix tight hips, there's only one right way to squat, there's only one right way to work on your cardiovascular fitness, right? And there ain't only one way. We've been doing it all. There's different ways to skin a cat. There's many ways to get to Rome. I mean, whatever the saying is, like the goal is the goal. Keep the goal the same and just figure out what each person needs individually, right? Because everybody's different, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So everyone's going to respond differently to different things. And so again, it's really just trying to understand like, hey, there isn't just one way. Nothing's cookie cutter, you know? I mean, you're the same way, when it comes to working with clients and treating clients, there's no cookie cutter way. I mean, someone could come in with, I have someone with low back pain with deadlifts, and this person has low back pain deadlifts, and it's not the same. You have somebody who comes in with very identical lab work to somebody else. The way you approach it isn't going to look the same because it's all about them as a person and what they're going to respond to. So number one, it's not just one way. There's not just one proper way, right? And then the second thing, like it kind of talks about, is the fear mongering, right? It's just like if you don't do this, you're going to break your spine and be paralyzed forever and never be able to walk
Man.
because your discs are going to be bone on bone. Or like, dude, oh my goodness, whether it's fitness professionals or even like other healthcare providers. Like one of my least favorite words is degenerative disc disease. Like that phrase kills me, man. Or arthritis. Like so many doctors, like those things happen. Like it's a part of life. It's just what it is. But that's not always the cause of pain. A lot of times it's actually just like an incidental finding if you're taking a lot of imaging and things like that. And so it's one of those things where it's like, is this really the cause of what's going on? Or is it just something that we found? And I tell my clients, because I see clients as young as 10 is all the way up to, 75. And, I was telling one the other day, he came to me with his CT scan because he's been having some back stuff. And he was like, yeah, says I've got arthritis and spinal stenosis. And I was like, I could have told you that without looking at any imaging because you're 73 years old. And that's just what happens when you live on this earth for 73 years. Your bones change. It's part of it. But you know how we
Yeah.
can combat all that? Movement, motion, and just keeping you happy and healthy. Don't let these titles of arthritis or disc disease or disc herniation and all that stuff change the way you think about yourself or believe. Like your body is so much more resilient than you know. Like it is incredible. And it can do things that you can't even imagine and function under environments that you wouldn't even think is possible. I think where just a lot of people get it wrong is just they either scare people or they say there's not one way and then just overcomplicate things and they just throw so much at clients just to like scare them into doing something when it's just like, hey, strip it down, be you. Here's the truth. What do you need? How can I help you? Like, I think that's the biggest thing.
I agree. I've had so many people come in and say, I have degenerative disc disease, and I had a lady really think it was a disease that she could give to other people because it
The
has
word
the word
disease is so
disease in it,
bad.
right? Right. Agreed. And so I think there's times where it's overused in a negative light instead of helping people understand when you hit a certain age, your discs kind of start going down, right? It happens to everybody. I let people know I have a straight neck. I have military neck. I'm gonna die. Hey, I got military neck too, right? Like you're good. And I think a lot of times a really good practitioner is going to take that time to listen to their patients, right, and then make it very clear in a way that they understand you're okay. Like we're still going to get through it, even when you're in pain. We can still get through it. How much time do you usually take with your patients?
Yeah, so I do hour one-on-one. So I'm one-on-one with a client, just me and them, full hour long. I'm the only one that works in my business, and so I don't pass them off to anybody else, or there's no assistant or intern or anything like that. And as the practice scales, it's going to stay that way. They're going to be one-on-one with a provider the entire time for a full hour. Because again, I feel like those conversations and like it actually takes time to get to know people and learn. Not only get to know them as a person because man, I love people so much and I love having conversations and just getting to know people. And I'd love to become their biggest fan and just root for them in every aspect of their life. And so I could sit there and talk to them for hours, yes, to get to know them as a person, but really just understand like their story and where their pain's coming from and what they need help with and what their goals are. I think goals are a massive thing as well. We talk about when my clients come in, I don't like pain goals. That's not one of my things. Like if you come in to see me, why are we here? Oh, my back hurts. No, no, no. Or like, hey, what's our goal with this treatment to reduce my back pain from an 8 out of 10 to a 1 out of 10? No, I don't do those goals. My goals are okay, why are you here? Oh, your back hurts. Okay, what is that preventing you from doing? Oh, I can't work out. Oh, okay. Why is working out important to you? Oh, I just want to be healthy. I'm like, okay, why is being healthy important to you? It's like, well, my daughter is pregnant, I have a grandkiddo on the way. I just want to make sure I can keep playing with him as he gets older. Bingo. That's why you're here. You're not here because you're in pain, because your pain is going to limit you from the ability of working out and playing with your grandkids. That's why you're here. That's now my goal. Like my goal is your goal. And so now it's not about just getting you out of back pain. It's about being able to play with your grandkids and not have to think twice about how your back is going to feel the next day. That's the goal. And again, if I didn't spend this much time with those patients, how could I find those goals? Right? How could I check in with them on those goals? And how could I honestly, really teach them and educate them to eventually reach that goal? Right? Like it takes time to find the root cause, work on that, get them feeling better, teach them movement. Like it takes time. And so I think I mean, I even tried 45 minutes. Like 45 minutes sounds long. I've not enough time. It's like, even sometimes an hour, I'm like, oh gosh, I have to do all this in 1 hour. Oh no. But yeah, so I slow it down. I slow it down. I'm not the typical chiropractor that's, in and out. Funny enough, I'm in a retail strip, and the people in this retail strip is kind of fun. We have a cryotherapy place on the corner, and then it's a dentist office, and then it's the gym, and I'm in the gym, and then you'll never guess what's next to me. Two other chiropractic businesses.
Wow.
And one, people always ask me, were you scared? I was like, no, because one, I don't do what they do, and we have completely different clientele. I'm not worried about that. But two, when we're in our workspace here in our creative studio, we can have windows and we can see patients go into those chiropractic offices and come out, and we will time them because it blows the trainer's minds. Like, look at the gym. We timed someone in 4 minutes the other day. 4 minutes. What are
Wow.
you doing in 4 minutes? Like, what? But hey, I digress. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm done. But yeah.
I'm with you. I like to take a little more time with my patients as well. Um, and I think you said it perfectly for any of the chiropractic students that if they ever hear this, for any of the chiropractors who are hearing it, or any patients really, the biggest thing you said is how I feel. I want to be there to help you hit your goals. I want to see you succeed, because if you succeeded, that means I succeeded. And I take that really personal. I get really sad when I'm not able to help people to the fullest. But there's also a time, and you and I kind of mentioned this a little bit before we even started the podcast, was I kind of know when I'm not your guy. And I'm okay saying, you need to go maybe see this person next. There was a neurosurgeon I worked really closely with, and I would see people, hey, we're not making progress. The disc wasn't getting to where we needed to. Go get a discectomy. And he was really dang good at them, and people had their life back. Don't be afraid to be someone's advocate, but part of being someone's advocate and is knowing when you've hit your kind of final destination and they need to go somewhere else too.
Yeah.
That's a big part
No,
of
I
it.
think that's huge, man. And I think I couldn't agree with you more on that. I think it's really important to know, and not only necessarily what your lane is as a chiropractor, because we always say we have a scope of practice. Like we know what our lane is there, but
Mhm.
also know what your lane is as an expert, right? I have people that come to me, and I'll be honest, I have treated babies, I've treated my own kids, I've treated other babies and things like that. But it's one of those things to where I've got a client who's like, hey, my baby's got this. And I was like, I will be more than glad to like just take a look at him, hold him, check on your kid, things like that. But I am not the person that's going to treat them, because that's not what I do. That's not what I'm good at. Or there are people out there that really enjoy the higher volume, quick in and out adjustments. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I do. And so, actually, as part of my process, when I have my patients, I have a discovery process. It's free. They learn more about me. I learn more about them. And I just figure out, am I a good fit for them? And are they a good fit for me? Because honestly, this is a relationship here. This isn't just me taking care of somebody or someone coming to me and giving me their money and for something in return. Like this is a mutual partnership and relationship here. And so we got to make sure that we are a good fit for each other, right? And if I'm not your guy, I will find somebody who is, because I care more about you as a person getting what you want than I care about your dollars. And same thing when it comes
Yeah.
to, say, like you mentioned, if we're not getting the results we're looking for, what are the next steps? I will help you find that next step, right? Like if we're
Yep.
4 weeks in and we're not getting any results, or we're not getting the results I'm looking for, clearly we need some help. Or you just need something completely different, a completely different approach. And I don't mind helping you find that, because again, like I said, your goals are my goals. I'm your biggest fan. I'm your biggest advocate. Whatever you need, we're going to do it. So I could agree with you more on that.
No, I love your approach on it. And it's very different than what most chiropractors are doing. I see all the time, just the quick adjustments. Let's spend 2, 3 minutes. I've worked at one of those clinics actually, right? I used to get in trouble all the time because I spent more than 3 minutes in the room with the patient, and I got in trouble every day. It was tough. It was tough because I had a hard time with it. And anyway, I think you're doing incredible stuff. But those in McKinney, Salina, Frisco, wherever they are, really, they're lucky to have you in that area because you're doing it different than everybody else. And I know there's classmates of ours that are in that same area practicing, and I'm sure you see them from time to time, but you're different and you're different for a reason. That's what I appreciate you so much about thinking outside the box on what needs to be done. I'm a little concerned you never brought up the McGill, big three. I'm joking, of course, but that was
Oh
drilled
man,
in our heads in school like crazy.
that was. It's so
But
funny.
I'm
I use that a little bit, but I really don't use it as much as you would think. I try to see if I can progress a little bit further. But there's some common themes with some of that stuff. But yeah, just like anything in school, right? We either take it and run with it, or we take a little piece of it, or we just kick it to the side and say, "We'll remember that for the test and forget it after." But no, man, I
totally.
appreciate the kind
I
words.
I
Thanks,
agree
man.
with you. Hey, so to sum it up, really, Mitch, in your own words, the thing you wish everybody knew, it sounds like motion is the key to life. Motion's what keeps you going, and finding the right practitioner to work with, who's going to be your advocate in helping you know which motion is what's going to help you for the long term to reach your goals. Is that pretty fair to say that that's kind of where your or is?
Absolutely. And there's a reason it's called the Movement Lab. There's a reason why it's in the name. And I think it's really just about educating the world about it, right? There's a lot of information out there. And here we are just putting more information into it. But I hope that it finds at least one person. And if it does, I know we're doing our job. I highly encourage people to explore that. And I highly encourage if they are dealing with pain or discomfort or not feeling healthy or whatever it is, start with movement. And if you need help, find that health professional, whether it is a chiropractor or a physical therapist or a personal trainer or whatever it is. But it's such a vital thing. And I think when you start prioritizing movement in your life, not just putting it in your life, but prioritizing it, you're gonna watch your
Mhm.
life change for the better in the coolest possible ways. And not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So many things in your life are going to change and evolve. And I think that's another reason why I'm so passionate about movement and helping people move and keep people moving, because I see it all the time. People come into the office and they're in there for pain, but then they're like, man, like mentally this is tough. Or, I get home and I'm just so physically and mentally exhausted from pain that like I don't want to talk to my wife, or I'm short with the kids, or I have a quick temper at work or whatever it is. Like all of those things, well, not 100%, but a lot of those things can improve through something as simple as movement, which is really, really powerful stuff. And it's really cool. And so I think it's an aspect of health that definitely should not be ignored. You are seeing a provider and they're not addressing your movement and you feel like they should. You are so right. Find someone who does. Or if you're in an
Yep.
office and you're not getting better and you feel like they haven't addressed the root cause or the reason why you're there, you're probably right. Find someone who does. Like that's what it's all about. I mean, whether it's through movement, right? And I think you and I are the same way, right? We're out here trying to find the root cause behind things. That's why we don't just, hey, come on in, whack and crack, see you later. Like you and I actually we take the time. We're those kind of providers that truly care and truly understand that it's more than just bones, right? Or more than just a pile of
Mhm.
bones. And so really understanding, hey, is it a movement thing? Is it you know, a lab thing? And that's one thing that I love about your side of things is you get a lot of insight through lab work, not only just because of, okay, how are like their body processes, but like, dude, you can understand so much between stress and diet and nutrition, and movement is going to show up on, you're going to have a lot healthier numbers and markers with through movement. And just like you see it all. And it's such a cool and impressive thing. And I love that you tie that into taking care of your patients. And again, whether it's movement or it's truly numbered measurements through lab work, like you can find a root cause and then you can actually help them create lifestyle changes. And then in return, they're going to see benefit in movement or those numbers from the lab work. And then it's something that's going to last them a lifetime. Something that again, like you mentioned, like we don't want to see them all the time. Like if we can literally, I tell them like, you're my little birdie right now. You got to fly. And I cannot freaking wait to see you fly so high. But right now,
Yes.
you're my little
Yes.
birdie, you know? So I love what you're doing, man. I love what you're doing. Keep it up.
Well, I'll tell you a story about the importance of movement. So I'm going to pick on my dad a little bit. I talk to my diabetics all the time about how important it is to move, right? Eat your meal, then go for a walk. It's going to help with the blood sugars. It's going to help control that, right? Muscles are going to help with building those blood sugars, stabilizing them out. I drove by my dad's house one day and he was on a walk and he was carrying 2 cookies in his hand. And I called him and I said, what are you doing? Like, why do you have 2 cookies in your hand and you're walking? Like, I have you on a program right now. What are you doing? And he said, it burns the sugar. Like, my blood sugar doesn't go crazy. And I couldn't fault him for it because he actually understood the process of how that was working. And he felt better after, right? Because he had some sugar in his muscles. So he didn't have as much fatigue after. And I can't fault him for it. He's a smart guy. He figured it out. But no, I agree with you. Motion is lotion in a lot of ways and everything else. But Mitch, I really appreciate you coming on today. You've given a totally different perspective on how we can stay healthy as we age. And it's one of those things where it seems so simple. It's almost hard to believe. But at the end of the day, we live in a society where kind of getting in motion all the time is a little more difficult. So maybe it's not as easy as our mind maybe thinks it is. So, but I appreciate you so much, Mitch. Once again, one of the smartest guys I know.
I can't thank you enough for having me on, man. It's nice to reconnect, man. I know we had a lot of fun when we were in school, and even though you're afar, it's nice to catch up and just talk about stuff that we're passionate about and stuff that we love, and it all comes down to just helping people and spreading the word.
Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Let's Sum It Up, a podcast where we talk about health, cut through the noise, and talk about what really matters. Hopefully you found something of interest or something that was able to help you in this podcast. If you did, like they say, click and subscribe. That way you're notified on the next time the podcast comes up. Thank you again.